Modèle sérieuse quand même.
Donc, c'est bon? Bonsoir, merci beaucoup. Je suis très honoré d'avoir été invité ce soir pour répondre à deux questions que Ludovic m'avait posées. La première question, c'est expliquer comment la Fédé est organisée et comment la fédération LGBT est organisée et comment elle milite en France.
Good evening, and thank you very much for inviting me here. I'm delighted to be with you this evening at your conference and at this event. Denis represents the LGBT Federation. He's going to address 2 points which he was invited to talk about. The first point was how the LGBT Federation is organised, and secondly, the activities that they're engaged in.
Donc, la fédération LGBT regroupe environ 15 villes de France, soit environ 150 associations.
So the LGBT Federation has 15,
villes, oui, 15
15 towns in France, and they have 150 associations, so 150 small chapters.
Donc le travail de la fédération est de faire des liens entre les associations et d'élaborer des actions communes, comme les campagnes du 17 mai ou du 1er décembre depuis maintenant 3 ans.
D'accord. So for the last few years, they've been working on a number of campaigns around the 17th of May. Ça, c'est le jour contre l'homophobie.
Oui, c'est ça. Idaho.
In Idaho on the 17th of May, and also the 1st of December, which is International World Day against HIV. Yeah, HIV/AIDS. Yeah. So they work in different ways in local communities, in particular around these two activities on an annual basis.
En 2011, la fédération a entrepris de réunir toutes les fédérations et associations pour la campagne pour les élections législatives et présidentielles.
In 2011, the federation decided to engage in the federal elections, in the campaign for the federal elections and the legislative election and the presidential election. That was the recent elections that took place.
Et l'ensemble des associations ont donc travaillé à la rédaction d'une plateforme commune de revendication, un site internet reprenant les initiatives locales et un grand meeting à Paris avec présence des candidats ou de leurs représentants.
D'accord. So they organized a number of initiatives during these presidential and legislative elections, which are like for the members of parliament, etc., and local representatives. They organised a great big debate here in Paris, where they had representatives from the different political parties, or their representatives. They organised activities at the local level. They had a website and a number of other smaller activities.
La principale revendication des associations était la mise en place d'un grand plan de lutte contre l'homophobie. Et monsieur François Hollande, dès qu'il a été élu, a engagé ce travail, c'est-à-dire qu'il a convoqué toutes les associations pour une consultation pour la rédaction de ce plan.
So one of the principal motivations that they've had in their activities is a law to protect and extend the rights of LGBT people in France. They're really pleased that the now president of France, Mr. François Hollande. I should know this. Monsieur François Hollande has absolutely committed to engaging in the process of talking to the LGBT Federation and their associations to ensure that the voice of LGBT people is actively listened to and engaged and responded to during this process. And the LGBT Federation is very, very proud of that particular achievement.
Et le plan sortira la semaine prochaine.
And the plan is due to be published in approximately the next week or so.
La deuxième actualité, c'est le texte sur le mariage pour tous. C'est comme ça qu'il est appelé en France. Le problème, c'est qu'il ne correspond pas aux revendications des associations. Et pour ça, on va continuer à se mobiliser tous ensemble pour arriver à avoir notamment la procréation médicalement assistée associée à ce texte.
So the other thing that the LGBT Federation has been particularly engaged in and motivated around working on is the issue of marriage equality within France. The government has, within its manifesto, made a commitment to to commit to equal marriage, which includes obviously LGBT people in France. That is taking a bit more work to achieve, but the association, the LGBT Federation, is working very hard to ensure that is realised and is instituted.
Et pour l'instant, dans les mesures et dans le plan, on n'a rien sur la question des transgenres. Et peut-être Émilie en parlera tout à l'heure.
Pas plus que toi, parce que j'ai pas plus d'informations à ce jour.
Okay.
Pour l'instant, il n'y a rien.
So the plans at the moment don't have any recognition or any reference to the rights of transgender people, which is a problem. The association is aware of that and is seeking to try and correct and redress that. But that's something that's taking a considerable amount of work to correct.
Je vais finir pour...
Si, quand même,
Oui.
petite précision que tu peux dire, c'est que on sait à peu près que ce sera début d'année pour les propositions sur le thé.
Ah oui?
Oui, pas avant. On verra avant. Il s'occupe d'abord du premier dossier qui est le mariage pour tous. Hein. Et sur le thé, on est dans l'attente.
D'accord. Donc les mobilisations à venir sur la question du mariage. Donc depuis le mois de novembre, les associations se mobilisent dans les différentes villes et à Paris. Et l'idée dans la fédération, c'est de travailler à nouveau avec toutes les autres associations pour faire un gros événement à Paris en janvier autour de la présentation du texte sur le mariage à l'Assemblée nationale.
Vous savez que j'ai manqué la première. Parce que je n'ai pas payé l'attention. I just realized that I stopped paying attention for one moment and I missed the whole of the first sentence. This is why I'm not a translator or interpreter normally.
En résumé, la mobilisation de l'ensemble des associations doit continuer. Voilà.
D'accord, okay. So apologies for that, small mishap. I'm not a professional interpreter, obviously. So what they're saying is, what Denis is saying is that they will resume their organisation work in January, particularly around this issue of the transgender and the equal marriage campaign in the new year, to ensure that it's the most effective and inclusive piece of legislation that they can possibly make it, and that they can get through the Parliament to ensure that the principle of marriage equality is instituted into French law as soon as possible.
Et la deuxième question que Ludovic m'avait posée, c'était expliquer un petit peu comment j'étais arrivé là, le chemin d'un militant, une illustration d'un chemin militant en France, et comment je me positionnais au jour d'aujourd'hui.
Vous ou l'association?
Moi personnellement, du coup, c'est ce qu'il m'avait demandé. Oui.
Okay, so the second question that Ludovic had asked Denis to comment upon was how he himself had arrived into the work that he does here at the association, the LGBT Federation, and what sort of steps he took in terms of his own activism, and he's going to address those for you right now.
Alors deux choses dans mon parcours, c'est le métier d'infirmier et mon vécu par rapport au VIH, puisque je suis de la génération où il y a eu beaucoup de morts par rapport au VIH. Donc ça, c'est les deux premières entrées qui me font militer.
Vous êtes infirmier?
Oui.
He was a nurse, I think. Yes. Vous êtes un nurse, un infirmier, oui, de l'hôpital. C'est ça, et puis après ça, vous êtes...
Et après, très concerné par la question du VIH.
VIH, c'est quoi? Le age? Ah oui, d'accord. Pardon, excusez-moi.
VIH, c'est pas ce que c'est?
It's been a 12-hour day, I think, of translating. So the principal routes for his engagement, for Denis's engagement into the work of the LGBT Federation were twofold. Firstly, he was a nurse working in the medical field, obviously, and he was particularly concerned around the increase in infection rates on HIV and AIDS and the treatment of HIV/AIDS, and those were particular factors that mobilized him as an activist.
Et donc, c'est bon. Donc, j'arrive dans l'association du Loiret en 2002. En 2006, j'en deviens président. Et,
so he arrived at the association in 2002 and he became the president in 2006.
Et entre 2006 et 2008, je monte le projet de santé gay à l'époque.
So between 2006 and 2008, he launched a big initiative around LGBT, or in particular gay health.
Qui aboutit à l'ouverture d'un des premiers centres de santé sexuelle à Orléans. Orléans.
Orléans, okay. I don't know where Orléans is, but j'imagine c'est en France.
Oui.
Alors, so his work on Denis's work on LGBT health, gay health in particular, enabled the Federation and the work that he was doing to conclude with the creation and the opening of a health centre in a place called Orléans, which is in France somewhere. Extra food for the person who knows.
Petite pour sa petite d'ailleurs.
200 000 habitants, ouais.
Okay, it's got 200,000 people. It's fairly big.
Et en 2010, je suis élu donc à la présidence de la fédération. 2010.
In 2010, he became president of the federation.
Et ce que je pense aujourd'hui dans le paysage associatif français, c'est que nous avons à nous structurer et à nous organiser bien mieux pour être plus efficaces.
So they basically be focused on restructuring their organisation to improve the efficiency.
Tout ça pour dire que je ne suis pas un penseur, mais plutôt un organisateur et un révélateur de compétences.
So he's not really a thinker, but he is an organizer and an activist, and he's very good at getting things done. He's got to do that, I suppose. Yeah.
Et je pense qu'aujourd'hui, en France, plus que jamais, le mouvement LGBT doit se professionnaliser dans le sens d'utiliser les méthodes de communication, gestion des groupes et organisation.
So the LGBT community and the LGBT organizations in France, more and more in these contemporary times, are using more professional methods of communication, of engagement and organising within their communities and in wider society, particularly civil society and political structures.
Il ne suffit plus d'avoir des pensées ou des revendications, nous avons besoin d'une stratégie commune et une organisation solide des compétences pour être plus efficace et donc plus influent.
Okay, so he thinks that we need a really efficient method of organising in order to... I'm just trying to read your notes. We need a strong communication strategy in order to, and a strong organisational strategy in order to achieve a competence in terms of becoming really efficient and effective advocates is probably a good word to use for the cause of LGBT people and LGBT rights. Thank you very much.
Parce que tu dis que tu n'es pas un penseur.
Ah oui, c'est ça.
So now there's a little joke about Rodin the penseur. Il est là dans le livre, hein? Rodin, je sais pas, Versailles. Alors, merci bien. Parfait. Le prochain? C'est qui, c'est vous?
Oui.
Alors, vous avez... Ludo, il avait combien de temps?
15 minutes.
Ah bon? Are you going to speak in English or in...
No, in English.
Okay, we're about to... I'm rushing you because I'm j'ai faim. Écoute, we're now going to move into the third panel debate, which is looking at inclusive Islam and secular equality for all European citizens. We've got 3 speakers on this panel. The first one will be Abdennour Prado, who's going to speak around the sacrament of social contracts open to all European citizens. I'm English and I don't know what that means precisely, so bon courage.
No. This title is from Ludovic and the organization.
Alors, so if we can just take... Oui, silence s'il vous plaît. Merci.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good night. Thank you for this opportunity to share my experiences as European Muslims in the struggle for an inclusive vision of Islam, as a Muslim compromise who tries to live according to the teachings of the Quran and the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Normally I don't read papers, but in this case with only 15 minutes and in English I prefer to read to be more clear. 8 years ago I conducted a study on homosexuality in Islam. comprising the exegesis of the verses of the people of laws in the Quran, the presence of homosexuality in the Hadith, in the Sunnah, fiqh, Islamic history. When I do that study, it was very difficult for me because I don't find literature about Quranic interpretation, inclusive Quranic interpretation. No, there are more than at this moment. And it's incredible because the same things I found by myself, isolated with the help of two brothers who helped me with the Arabic, because my Arabic is not so good. The interpretation and the conclusions I arrived studying the Quran is the same, just the same that has arrived another scholar, another person who has made this study around the world. No? This is something that means something. No? After that, following that, I made several conferences and participated in several interreligious events around homosexuality. At that time, it was for me unthinkable for me to attend the birth of a network of Muslim organizations as CALEM. This is for me a great issue, committed to the defense of the rights and dignity of gay Muslims from a Muslim perspective. It seems that there is a growing awareness that homophobia and sexism are not the result of Islam itself, but rather the result of a lack of spirituality among Muslims and a lack of knowledge about their own religion. They have turned Islam into a mere ideology or an external identity which places us in a world of conflicting identities, us between them, barricaded in themselves, closet around exclusionary dogmas and doctrines. So I'm convinced that the best weapon against homophobia in Islam is Islam itself, and that this struggle, and this is very important, is not only for the rights of gay and lesbian Muslims, but it's a struggle for Islam itself. The reason that led me to embark on this fight, on this struggle, was then an experience of contradiction. The contradiction between the meanings and values received from a direct reading and understanding of the Quran and the application or misapplication that is made of that message. The flagrant contradiction between really basic values, such as compassion and brotherhood and sisterhood, and the brutal fact of the persecution and derision suffered by many Muslims for their sexual tendencies. But most important, or at the same level, and in a more close sense, my commitment arises from the contact with gay Muslims who came to me for one or another reason to tell me their problems. During the time I was the chair of Web Islam, this is the main website in Spanish, main Muslim website in Spanish language. It has more than 1 million visits. I was the chair of this website, and we produce many knowledge and many debates, discussion, and many gay Muslims came to us asking, and what about homosexuality? And it was a duty for us to take account on this. I realized through these guys, these people, that homophobic speech is so ingrained that it has not even the need to be verbalized, to make guys feel and lesbians feel the stigma of being as God has created them. For young people, sorry please, I can't. For young people growing up in immigrant communities, brought together by family ties and common origin, problems stem from ignorance, surprise, and shame to discover their sexual orientation. There are numerous pressures that led them to hide or to deny their sexuality. The youth are inculcated with the idea that you cannot be boy, gay, and Muslim, or lesbian and Muslim. This leads to a sense of duality, an inner fracture. We have cases, many cases, of distress, anxiety, depression. We know that. It's important not to minimize the capacity of homophobia inside Muslim communities. In these years, I have seen several gay Muslims affected and even yielded by homophobia. A young man, a gay Muslim, once told me, I have understood that before being homosexual, I am not Muslim. So I have to be, my Islamicity first, and I have to reject my homosexuality. After conducting this study I mentioned, I participated in an interfaith initiative that emerged in Spain in response to the claims of some religious institutions to reject the gay marriage law. You know that in 2005, Spanish state government approved a law allowing gay marriage, lesbian marriage. But then the main hierarchies of the religions in Spain share together to make a condemn of this project of law. They say, the press portrayed this as religions united against gay marriage. And then people that we are engaged in interfaith dialogue, interreligious dialogue, we meet together and to say, no, these guys don't represent us. These people say religions united against, we're going to do the contrary. We're going to unite ourselves in favor and to express our acceptance of gay marriage. After that, I published an article that has created really as male sexual torment in Islamic communities in Catalonia and in Spain. Speaking about the possibility, I'm president of Catalan Islamic Board. I have the qualification by the Spanish Ministry of Justice of religious Islamic leader, and I can make nikah. I can celebrate Muslim marriage, and in fact, I made many Muslim marriages. And I say I propose myself to celebrate those marriages. If anyone. At this moment, there are no activists for gay Muslims rights in Spain. You know about that. And it was really a seizure. It was really, I received criticism, offensive message, and harassment in many from Muslim communities. When I did this research, I want to talk about this gay marriage in Islam. When I conducted this research on homosexuality in Islam, one of the things that struck me, what surprised me more, is the discovery of the existence of gay marriage in the Islamic world. There are specifically the celebration of Muslim marriage. Gay marriage is documented in Siwa, in Siwa Oasis. This is in the desert of Libya, now in Egypt. And it was this marriage, gay marriage, was prohibited in 1928. Until 1928, Muslims celebrate gay marriage in the mosques of Siwa. They say they are Berber communities, isolated, alhamdulillah, this is not Islamic, but they do that. And that is documented. But I think we must make an investigation about that, because I'm sure that this is not an isolated case. I'm sure. Why? Because this happens now. This is happening now. And in 14 centuries of history of Islam, we don't need a priest to celebrate a marriage. Then it's really possible that this has been done before.
3 minutes, brother.
3 minutes. All right.
I'm being generous.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect.
That's good.
Well, there are other cases that I can. I only mention. In recent years, we received from Al Arabiya and other media the fact that, for example, in 2006 on March, police interrupted a wedding celebration and arrested 120 men in Medina. They are going to celebrate a gay marriage in Medina, in the city of the Prophet Muhammad. If I say, if that happens, no, in a country in which the law says that the sodomy, not homosexuality, because homosexuality is a condition, but sodomy is castigated by death penalty. If this happens in Saudi Arabia, what about the history of Islam? I'm sure that if we made a research about that, we're going to find gay marriage. I finished, sorry.
Non, c'est bon, ça ne t'inquiète pas.
Those who condemn homosexuality, I say here we have to be aware. In Islam, we don't need a priest to celebrate a marriage, so a very small group of Muslims can do that. Besides, this is considered lawful or a perversion for someone. The fact is that there are Muslims who consider that licit. And I say, who has the right to prohibit two persons that love each other and to want to share their lives? Who has the right inside Islam to prohibit them to celebrate this marriage? Marriage is of paramount importance in Islam, we know. The Prophet Muhammad said that it is the half of the deen, the half of religion. Denying gays and lesbians, on LGBT, the right to marriage is really very serious inside Islam, is to deprive them of something that Islamic tradition recognizes as a great benefit. It is necessary to have conclusive basis for that. And there are no basis for that rejection. There are no basis. They are not going to find that. In 14th centuries, they are not arrived. Only the prohibition of homosexuality, but there is no basis for perspective. I finish. In these years, I have received dozens of messages from gay Muslims, thanking for my position. Also, I have received a really contrary message. Even good friends have recommended me to don't touch this issue because you're going to have problems inside Muslim communities. Yes, it's true. It's absolutely true. But if I put the two things in the balance, I think I have very clear what is more important. I don't have any doubt that the struggle against injustice is my duty as a Muslim, as a believer. And as European Muslims, I say that we have to speak about that. We can speak about that. And we have to pressure also Islamic leaders, those who present themselves as Islamic leaders in the Muslim communities in Europe. We have to pressure them to take a position about that, to clarify who they are. If I do not denounce homophobia, if I do not denounce, not claim against the persecution of homosexuals in the Islamic world, really, I really say that I will feel I'm ashamed to call myself a Muslim. Thanks.
Thank you, Brother Abdunur. That was genuinely a fantastic presentation.
Oh,
I really
you.
enjoyed listening to what you had to say, and I'm really sorry that we sort of had to pressure you for time.
No worries.
What I'm going to propose, because I know you put a lot of work into your research and the presentation you were going to make, is for us to try and make that available on the internet, inshallah, and so that people can access it, because I just thought it was a genuinely intelligent piece of writing and really well researched. So thank you very much for sharing and doing the work that I know you have done in preparing that and sharing that with us this evening. And I'm sorry that we couldn't give you more time. But we are where we are, and we do have two more speakers for you. Well, three, I think, actually.
Two more.
One is a pairing. And I'm going to invite them, and he's better stop pulling faces at me. So Zamzam, Brother Zamzam, if I invite you up to talk about the Spanish queer Muslim experience. Now you had 5 minutes. I am going to propose that we give you 5 minutes, and you're not going to negotiate that with me. C'est bon, hein? 5 minutes, ça suffit, hein? Merci beaucoup.
Très bien. ¿Qué se siente que yo les hable en mi idioma y que nadie me entienda?
Hola,
Vale, pero espérame un segundito. ¿Qué se siente que yo les quiera decir la cosa más importante de todas y que ninguno de ustedes me entiendan? Así me sentí yo durante 4 años. Vale. No. Okay.
Personne habla en español.
He's going to explain.
Du coup, j'ai passé la traduction en français, j'ai fait de mon mieux. Si jamais il y a des choses que vous trouvez que c'est pas bien traduit, n'hésitez pas.
Ok. Je ne parle français. I don't speak English.
On dit français.
Français.
Et tu piques en plus.
Ok.
Time.
Ok, ya la.
Delegates.
Voy a hablar en español. ¿Ok? Mi nombre, mi apellido de mi pasaporte es Samsam.
Je vais parler en espagnol. Mon nom de famille, c'est Zamzam.
Fui criado, vengo de una familia. No.
Je peux pas
It's better he translates in English.
Ah, pero entonces son 10 minutos.
No, in English directly. Solo en inglés.
Pero,
Moi, je pas comprends espagnol.
Ah, no.
Oui, si.
¿Tú hablas inglés y francés?
Y español también.
Ah, ya la.
En inglés.
Oh, María.
Ah, entonces son 10 minutos.
I'm gonna do my best.
Thank you very
We are
much.
sure.
I don't know if I'm gonna do it well.
Ah, ella no conoce el texto, pero bueno, intentaremos hacerlo. Uy, siento que nadie me entiende.
He said that we're gonna try even if I don't know the original text. Et il a dit qu'on va faire de notre mieux.
Bueno, que voy a resumirlo.
Sí. Vamos a resumir.
Vamos a resumirlo.
On va résumer.
Vengo de una
We're gonna sum it
familia.
up.
Vengo de una familia católica apostólica romana, el tercer hijo de 6 varones, y desde chico tuve lo que los católicos llaman vocación para el sacerdocio.
So he was raised in a family that was a Catholic, apostolic Roman Catholic family. He was the third son of 6 males, and he had a calling from very early on in his childhood to be a priest. Donc il a été élevé dans une famille catholique apostolique romaine, le troisième de 6 garçons, et il avait une vocation pour devenir prêtre depuis tout petit.
Estuve 5 años en el seminario haciendo mis estudios, y por diferentes facetas de mi vida fui perdiendo la fe, pero no en Dios, perdí la fe en las personas, lo que me llevó a alejarme de la iglesia como institución.
So for 5 years he was studying in the seminar and studying to be a priest, and he never lost his faith in God, but he lost his faith in people. Donc il a passé 5 ans au séminaire à étudier pour devenir prêtre, et il n'a jamais perdu la foi en Dieu, mais il a perdu la foi en les gens.
Ya en mi época más madura me puse a averiguar los orígenes de mi apellido Samcham, y el Islam entró en mí a modo de sorpresa. Cuando escuché el Corán recitado por Said al-Gandhi y mi